Well, hello, third grade. Welcome to Investigation 11. The end is in sight for you for math this year. You've taken your last test and you're just working on your math facts practice. Let's do this investigation together though. Remember from lesson 110 when we were plotting points on our grid to make shapes? Well, today we're gonna practice giving instructions for someone else to do that. So you're gonna get to make your own shape and then you're gonna plot the numbers and you're gonna kind of write out how someone would follow your instructions if they had a piece of this grid paper to make their own shape. So right here, I've got the example that they give you on page 586 in Investigation 11. And we're gonna start together. I'm gonna do a little bit of it with you and then let you finish. We're gonna start giving instructions for someone to draw this shape. Now, ultimately, right, you would connect the dots because it's a dot to dot. So I'm gonna do that real quick and make this little shape all connected with my blue pen here. All right, so if I wanted to teach someone how to make this little shape with a grid paper, I would start right over here. It's logical to start just like we read. We read from left to right, and so we're gonna give them instructions from left to right. Now remember, when I'm plotting coordinates on my grid paper, the first number I give them is the number they would get to by going right or by going along the length of their grid. So it looks like my first point, my first coordinate is at 1 over to the right, and then I move up 1. So it's at 1, 1. So my first instruction to someone, if they had a blank piece of this grid paper and all they had were my instructions to follow to make this shape, my instruction number 1 would tell them to do 1, remember we put it in parentheses, comma, 1. And so then they would know that they need to go 1 to the right and then 1 up. All right, so my second instruction to them would be, it looks like right above that, I have another point on another coordinate on my grid. So they would go over 1 and up 2 this time. And so my instruction, because we always do going to the right first, would be 1, and then my second would be 2. So in parentheses, I would say 1, 2. Let's plot 1 or 2 more together, and then I will let you go from there to give instructions to make this shape. So let's see. My next dot on my coordinate, if I'm moving from left to right, looking at all the dots I have, would be this one and this one, but I'm gonna do this one first. All right, so it looks like I would move over to 2 and go up to 3. So of course I'm gonna list my 2 first in parentheses, 2, comma, 3. And that way they would put their little dot right here at 2, 3. All right, my next one is right above that. So I know I'm still going over 2, and since I always give the coordinate that goes along the bottom, along the length, or goes right first, then I'm gonna give them 2 first, comma, then move up 5. So this point on the grid is 2, 5, this coordinate. 2, 5 is the fourth instruction I would give them. And then I would just keep numbering it, 5, 6, 7, 8, until I've given them all the points on the grid. So it looks like our next point would be right here. I'm gonna let you do that though. All right, and then the next thing the investigation talks about is practice drawing directions by drawing a triangle on lesson activity 35. Begin by drawing 3 dots where the grid lines intersect. Okay, so I went ahead and did that. I drew the 3 dots. Always make sure it's where the grid lines intersect. I wouldn't want a dot floating around out here in the middle because I can't give someone coordinates to that dot, right? I need a dot where my grid lines intersect. All right, and then now you're gonna write directions for someone else to make the triangle. So really my triangle would be connected. Let me see if I can find my pen again. I would connect, and of course I'll just use this, an expo, because I can't make a nice thick line. So if I want my student or friend to be able to draw this triangle, I would give them the coordinates by telling them to start right here, right? With this coordinate would be 2, 1 in parentheses, just like we've been doing all our other coordinates. I forgot Mr. Pinky and Lady Gray. Those are our erasers in Mrs. Johnson's class, so I'm using one of these little erasers. But what did I say that one? That one was 2 and 1. Remember, in parentheses, I put the 2 first and then the 1. And I would probably number this instruction number 1 and number 2, number 3, number 4, just so that they could go in order and plot this on their grid. All right, so the final part of this is that lesson activity 36 has a, I don't have the same one printed, but you'll have that this week, and it has a grid just like this, and then over to the side it has a little box where you get to write instructions for your own shape. So I did that here. I made a little shape that I want someone to make on a dot to dot. And I'm just going to give you the first few points on mine. This is what I would want them to draw. This is my end result that I would want them to have. So I kind of was trying to go for like a star of some kind. And you could make yours a lot more intricate. You could make it simple. But what you can't do is you can't have any curves with this kind of instructions, because all the lines that connect are from one straight line to the other, right? One straight point intersection on my grid to another. So you wouldn't want to have curves in your shape, and you would want to make all the segments and endpoints, just like we said, where the lines intersect. I wouldn't want any of my little dots or intersection points to be floating out here in the middle of a box. I want them to be in an intersection between 2 lines on my grid. And then I would want to write the coordinates in order. So again, I'm going to start right here and write this coordinate, and then I'm going to tell them the instruction for these 2 coordinates next, and then this one, this one, and this one, go in order so they can plot this out. And let's see, I think that is the gist of it. So I will go ahead and show you the first 2 coordinates on my grid. And then you're going to do the same thing for the investigation. You're going to walk someone through or give someone instructions for making a shape on the grid that you have. All right, so my first instruction, it looks like they need to go to 3, right? Because I always give the instruction on the length of the grid, or going right first and then up second. So they go to 3 and then they need to go up to 4. So my first instruction would be 3, 4, and they would go to that coordinate and draw a dot. And then my second instruction looks like it would be 4, 3, right? 4, 3, and so on and so forth. And so I've almost created I've created my own dot to dot, or my own game for someone to do. So have fun with this. If you have a sibling, you could kind of give them a tiny little lesson in this, or have them watch one of the math videos, either this one or lesson 110, and then give them instructions and a blank piece of grid paper, and see if they can make this shape that you've planned for them on their paper. All right, so just have fun with this. This is kind of your last thing of your Saxon 3 book, and you have moved on to Saxon 4-5 next year. All right, take care. See you next time.